Another day, another celebrity making headlines, right?
It seems like it sometimes, doesn't it?
This time we're talking about King Harris, son of
Right.
rapper T.I.
Ah,
We got to unpack his recent arrest,
yeah,
but let's try to go past those surface level headlines, really try to get to the bottom of things.
definitely.
And, when these sorts of things pop up on my feed, it really makes you wonder, like, does being a celebrity or being related to one, does that change how the justice system treats you?
That's the question, isn't it? And I think it's something that comes up again and again. I mean, are celebrities treated differently?
Exactly. And actually, I saw this post on social media,
Okay.
someone asking that exact question about this arrest. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of get your take on that as we go.
Definitely.
But first, for those who maybe haven't heard about this or haven't been following it as closely,
Yeah.
King Harris, he's facing some pretty serious charges right now. And it all goes back to something that happened way back in August of 22.
That's right. This goes back a bit. And this wasn't his first encounter with law enforcement either.
Really?
We're talking about speeding, driving with a suspended license, even a DUI charge. And that was all from that earlier incident.
Oh, wow.
And this arrest now, he was initially picked up in Dunwoody, Georgia, but then he was taken to DeKalb County Jail.
Okay.
And then finally, he ended up in Pickens County.
Pickens County. Why Pickens County?
Well, that's because there was a warrant out for his arrest there.
Hold on. So he had a warrant out in completely different county.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like there might be a lot more to this than meets the eye.
Right, and that's often the case, isn't it? You see a headline, and there's this whole story underneath it.
Exactly.
And in this case, that warrant, it was issued because he failed to show up in court for those earlier charges. He
Mhm.
didn't appear when he was supposed to.
And that's, like, not a good look.
No, not at all. I mean, think about it this way. It's like if you promise your friend you're going to meet them somewhere, you don't show up, and then you just completely ignore their calls.
Yeah, not cool.
Not cool at all. And that's kind of what's happening here with the justice system. It's about respect for the process.
Right. And so when you don't show up, it's almost like you're disrespecting that entire process.
Exactly. And that's why you often see these additional consequences like that warrant in another county. It's a way of ensuring that people take their legal obligations seriously.
It is serious stuff. And I think in this case, when we start to sort of look at all these charges, it feels like they are really starting to add up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, speeding, okay, I think we've all probably, gone a little bit over the speed limit at some point, maybe.
Maybe a little bit.
Driving on a suspended license, that's already, you're in a different category at that point.
Right. It's definitely more serious.
But the DUI involving drugs, that is just, I mean, that's on a whole nother level. Not only in terms of, what the law says, but also public safety.
Absolutely. And each one of those charges you mentioned, they carry their own weight, right?
Right.
So speeding, depending on how fast, could be as simple as a fine, maybe some points on your license.
Right.
But when you get to driving on a suspended license, you're talking potentially more fines. Your license could be suspended even longer. You could even be looking at jail time.
Wow.
And then, of course, you've got the DUI. I mean, that, especially if it's not a first offense, that's where things can get really serious. Mandatory DUI programs, hefty fines, possible jail time again. And, we're not even just talking about the legal consequences here. This kind of thing, it can have a real impact on someone's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine that when you start to add those things in, it's not just the legal ramifications, it's the impact on your reputation.
Exactly.
Potentially even your career. That makes
Yeah.
you think about, like, his dad, T.I.
Hmm.
Could this potentially have an impact on his career?
Yeah.
It's like these ripple effects.
Absolutely. And that's where that question of celebrity comes back into play.
Yeah.
Because does the court look at this situation and say, okay, well, this is the son of a famous rapper. We need to make an example out of him. Or do they maybe go a little easier on him because of who his father is? I mean, we've seen both happen in the past. Think about insert relevant example of celebrity justice.
Right. And it's hard to know what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Because you also have public opinion.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, especially when it comes to people who are in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
Their families, people are so quick to judge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Social media can be a harsh place.
It can be a harsh place, and so it'll be interesting to see how this actually unfolds in the legal system, but then also just how people continue to talk about it.
It's a good reminder for all of us, right, that our actions have consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true whether you're in the public eye or not. Driving under the influence, it is a serious offense. And, hopefully if anything good can come from this, it's that people will think twice. before they get behind the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think this deep dive, is about a lot more than just sort of these headlines and what happened, right? We touched on themes of accountability,
Right.
personal responsibility, how the justice system works, and then, of course, that always present question of celebrity and its potential influence.
And the court of public opinion.
The court of public opinion, right. So it's a lot to unpack, and honestly, I'm curious to know what our listeners think about all of this. What are your thoughts on the case? Head over to wherever listeners can leave comments, and let's keep this conversation going.